Welcome to Super Ginge, everybody. Tonight, me and my good friend Kieran Tierney are going to discuss who would be better out of Deadpool and Batman. This is a pilot episode. We're going to see how it goes, and there's going to be a lot of chances for you as audience members to take part. So let's get into it, my friends. Super Ginge! What is up? It is I, the Super Ginge. For all the regular followers, no, you have not tuned in like a B-rated version of that Mental Ginger show. I'm doing something different. We're trying something new here and trying to get it off the ground and trying to help some people and embrace the nerd knowledge that I have of all things superhero-y. So I thought, I can't just do this myself. I'm going to try and rope in a co-host or blackmail them with anything that I've got. And it's also used to see a good friend of mine. My good friend of mine, please introduce yourself to my audience.
Hello, Mental Ginger fans. My name's Kevin, and as Andrew was saying, nerd total.
It's like nerd total end.
Yep.
Well, there's more to you than that, obviously, Kevin. Like, for anybody that's in the background, we met in the illustrious days of Coatbridge College back in the late noughties, which was a mental time in itself.
It was a bit, aye.
Yeah. Do you not just think that was just an entire year of just like an acid fever dream?
A lot of it was. I think for a bit of it, I might have been on acid.
Yeah. Well, the most I'd done was like, just go heavy on the booze, but that was about it for me. Yeah.
I've done that as well.
Yeah. I mean, the actual performance course at that time as well was like a fever dream. Like, you didn't know what was happening 1 minute to the next. I think everybody that was on those courses could attest to that.
Aye.
It was pretty nuts. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Nobody knew we went at all.
Yeah, no one knew we didn't have a clue what was going on. Well, no one did. I was 20 going on 21 at the time. So at the time of this recording, that's almost 15 years ago. Now, that's mental enough in itself to say.
It is.
Because you've got a wee girl, haven't you, Kev? Two, man. Yep. How old are they now?
9 and 10. One's about to be 11.
Jeez, is it like 11 going on like 31?
Aye.
Oh man. I can kind of sympathize because my boys have just turned 4. It's like 4 going on 14, and I'm like, when does this stop?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Nice to know. Is there anything like from the age of 4 that you can give me any wisdom on of how I'm going to survive it?
Helmets help. Things get thrown a lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I have noticed, like, sometimes you'll see me like doing podcasts where I've got like my prescription sunglasses on, and that's because Connor busted my eye so badly that if I'm on a screen for too long, it dries up and then just cracks and splits open, and it'll never heal. I'm like, you little bastard! I cannot believe you did this to me.
I know.
So we are trying something a bit different. I was inspired by something I used to actually watch back in the day on YouTube, but it was something called movie fights. And you would have like rounds of events or topics at the time. 2 people would argue their case, and then we would see who was going to be the overall winner at the end. And I thought, well, there could be something that we could try, and we could do it with superheroes, and we could cover our bases with it. So me being me, I had to throw in 2 of the most kind of relevant superheroes, I think, of our kind of era at this precise moment, and that is Deadpool and Batman.
Yep.
Now, we did have a little bit of an issue, my friends, because Kevin and I are both like hardcore Deadpool fans. And it was something I was like, right, one of us needs to try and argue for Batman. And I wasn't going to make the guests hosts for this time argue again for Batman. So I will take the brunt of this one. And we'll try and argue with it. I think I've got enough knowledge to hold my own, but we'll see how it goes. So the idea I was thinking was that we'd kind of break it into, we'll break it into 3 categories. So we'll base it on cultural relevance. We'll base it on skill set. That's like a physical and a mental. We'll just kind of rope that into one. And then we'll have probably their greater impact on the superhero genre, as in, like, you know, who they would tend to partner up with, who they would tend not to partner up with, how they affect their, like, core, so to speak. Like, for example, how would Batman affect being in the Justice League? Deadpool, how would he affect being part of X-Force and being able to, like, break fourth wall, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Right. So we shall start off with round 1. And that is cultural relevance. Well, I will be doing like little features on there, so you won't see me like doing the really weird faces that I had to do to make that voice. See, it looked like you know when you do like the English dubs of like Bruce Lee films.
Oh,
that's what it kind of looked. That's what it kind of looked like for me. It's like, this is pointless. Why continue? That's basically what it was like there, wasn't it?
I know. I love watching them. It's great.
Yeah. The only one I always used to notice it really very vividly was cartoons, in particular Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy was really bad. The dubbing was really bad.
Yeah, it was bonkers, man. It was totally nuts.
I know.
That could be an interesting one to use in a superhero fight of who would win. Powder Toast Man. Well, we will. I think that is a curveball that we can throw in if we get like a third guest, for example, and I go, right, I'll be like, right, we're gonna throw in, like, get some newbie to come in. Anybody that wants to watch and join in this fight, you'd be more than welcome. And we'll be like, right, we will argue Powder Toast Man. You can argue this one. And I'll sit back and do the one of us will sit back and do the adjudicating.
It could be Powder Toast Man and Burnt Face Man.
Oh man, that would be interesting. Powder Toast Man did get really dark really fast sometimes, so
really did. It was. But Ren and Stimpy was quite dark.
Oh my god! The fact he needed a leash, to be changed to, because when it was clear when he was let loose in his own devices, it was not good for humanity. Kind of like like me being unleashed upon the on YouTube. It's not good for humanity. Because
me being out in public. Nah, it's not good. It's not good.
I think anybody coming out in public since COVID is it's not wise going out. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I mean, this could be something like if you're willing to come on that Mental Ginger Show site to discuss it, and you'll realize my style of presenting is exactly the same as this. But I always find I go on wee tangents and talk about random stuff. But since COVID, I don't feel like I've been able to like properly go outside. I never used to go outside properly anyway, but it's like heightened up to like factor 11.
Aye, same. It's like been so long.
Yeah, it's like you'll only go out if you know where you're going, roughly when you'll be back, and what the environment's going to be like.
Aye.
Like, so I just keep my journeys as basic as possible. It's like home, office, office, home, studio, office, studio, home, all that kind of stuff. But I'll just keep. I'll keep like core bases. Anything out with that, I could go, but my anxiety would be like through the roof.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know. How do you find it in particular? How do you find it in particular when you're going for like your kids like have hobbies and that yet?
Well, everything gets shut down and it's still not opened up here yet.
All right.
So everything's still a bit up and down with that.
Yeah.
But they go out and play with their pals and that, so it's like, right, bye, see you later.
Oh, nice. When is that okay to do and you don't feel like you're going to have an aneurysm?
It's still a bit. Even though the older one, she's got a phone, and we've got the track the phone app thing on it.
Yeah.
And we tell them, right, be back at this time. That time comes, it's like, she's not back, so we phone her. That, I'm just coming.
Mm.
But it's like the 10 seconds of the ringing. It's like, why she no answered yet? Why she no answered yet? And it's like, oh my God.
I know, it really does make you wonder, like, how did our parents do it? What would just basically just holler across the street going, like, Drew. And you're like, oh, gotta go. What? Like, how did they survive? Like, we were just sort of like people like phone instantly. I mean, my boys,
I know.
our boys, the other people on my street must think that we're keeping them prisoner or something, because like the gate's chained up. The gate outside was we've got a wooden gate for bringing the bins in and out, and we've got like a metal gate just for coming in and out to the back garden. Metal gate's chained up with a steel chain, and the wooden gate's tied up with a bit of string. They must think they were keeping those boys in Alcatraz or something. Well, it's just like, but it's like we won't let they don't have that kind of road sense and that road safety yet. They're getting there, but they're not there yet.
Aye.
Whereas they see all the girls in the street that are either their age or just a little bit older, and their parents are just setting them free, like free range children. And I'm I can't do that. That's the fear.
That's what it was like whenever here. It was just free range Waynes. It's like, nah. It's only been like quite recently that they've started to want to go out. So it's like, right, well, she's got her phone now anyway, so we can phone her whenever we need her to come back.
Yeah.
But it was like, there were like 4 and 5 year olds running about on the roads, and it's a busy road. It's not like a main road, but it's really busy. It's in between 2 main roads, and it gets used like 900% of the time by everybody.
Yeah.
It's like very rarely an empty bit of the road.
Yeah, it's even like our street's like it goes out like a wee kind of cul-de-sac. So it's like a dead end road, but so many cars park there, so there's a lot of blind spots for younger kids, and when they come round into that street, they usually come in quite fast. You're like, I mean, I've had it a couple of times with the kids in the street where I've came in and I've been like, "Feck, I could have easily hit you there if I didn't know I had to slow down."
I know.
It's like
half
the
of them
fear is real.
I know. No, they two are quite. They've got good road sense. So like when they're going to one of their pals, it's like they have to cross like a main road. It's like, right, you do not cross that road. You go to the crossing. It's a 5-minute walk, but you go to there, you cross there where it's safe, and then you can walk back up.
Yeah,
it adds 10 minutes onto their journey, but they're safe.
Yeah, definitely. My wife and I, when we got our first place, and it was a flat, and it went onto 2 busy roads. Well, I'm like, thank God that we are there now with the kids. Like, we couldn't have lived there because it was like a 1-bed flat, so it wouldn't have happened. But still, well, if it was anything around there, I'd be like, not a chance whatsoever.
Aye.
Yeah. So we've had our tangent, we've had our a bit of catch up. I mean, for anybody watching,
parent talk.
Yeah, we've got to. I don't really speak to a lot of dads. I speak to a lot of mums, and they go kind of, oh, typical man, and I'm like, oh, I would love to get you on my podcast and just rip you to shreds. What the internet would crucify you, and I would let them, and I would laugh. So it's always good. Yeah, so it's always good to get a dad to talk to, especially one that can warn me of the pitfalls ahead.
Aye.
Yeah, definitely, man. And even before that, like, when we saw each other, like, kind of on and off after college, but up until you came up to the studio for a weekend discussion about this project at the start of the year, I hadn't really seen you in about like at least 10 years. Because
it was something like that.
Yeah, because by the time this goes out, I've been with the missus for 9 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so we've been 9 years together. So it was before that. So yeah, easily a decade of destruction has went past since then.
It has.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
And I was no part of it at all.
Yeah.
So you can't blame me.
None at all. None at all. You had no part in any of.
I might have had some influence before that might have rubbed off, but apart from that, you can't blame me.
You had influence, and then things happened, and then everybody dropped off the face of the earth. And then I got myself better and managed to get everybody back. So this is why when I always say to people in Mental Ginger Show that I am the ginger equivalent of herpes, that once you get me, you're kind of stuck with me. This is the prime example. We've barely spoken in a decade, and I'm still like, hey guys, what's up?
There we go.
Yep, so good.
It's like the first time we spoke, it was like just continuing the conversation for like 10 years before.
Pretty much. Well, that's something that I just find is came with me over time. And you always find you go, oh, how you been doing? All right. So what's been happening? Fuck off.
Aye.
What? And so many things have happened, but it's just instantly you're just like, nah, fuck off. That's it.
Aye.
Nothing's happened at all in 10 years. We're fine. We're all good. We got Sneakies later. Sneaky shut down 12 years ago. Oh, right. Aye. The infamous Sneakies days, man. That'll be something. I want to get a documentary commissioned about that time, because that was when I go into this my new presenter's role, what I'm gonna, if I can pitch ideas, I'm gonna pitch that, making a documentary about the Sneakies days, because so much shit went on there.
I know.
It only existed for what, like 3-4 years, something like that.
Something like that. Aye.
It wasn't that long. It was the candle that burned twice as bright, and it only lasted half as long. Holy shit, the stuff that went on there, man.
Aye. The stories.
The stories. Like if anybody's watched that Mental Ginger Show, check out the episode I've done with Stuart Hay, where we talk about that. We go into brief detail of the insanity, and we have even more because we were regulars. I mean, I was in there. Remember when they used to do Friday, Saturdays?
Aye.
Well, I was in Fridays and Saturdays. Well, and I remember once they tried doing a Sunday, I was even there then. That's how I knew I had an alcohol problem.
Well, I was working in bars as well, so
yeah,
I was always about it.
Yeah, yours was just life experience.
Aye.
Yeah.
He tried to get me to work there as well.
Really?
Aye, and I was like, I'm not working here. Not a chance.
Oh man,
I know where the bodies are buried.
Yep, you knew all the skeletons in the closet. Well, or in some cases, skeletons behind the urinal.
Yeah, aye.
That just one long trough. The amount of sick that must have get readied out of there.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh man, some infamous nights. What? Something we can't even remember.
No, a lot of the nights I can't remember for there.
Yeah,
probably for the best.
Yeah, I think it's a wise idea all round. We've had a reminiscent, and don't worry, when the Sneakies documentary finally gets commissioned, because it will happen one day, we will get you for interviews.
I'll be there.
Definitely, man. You're not getting a choice.
No.
Well, you've found that with me already. If I get you in for a project and you do good, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get you in for another project. What? So yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, buddy. Curse you be.
I'm free.
It's your curse being so reliable.
Damn it.
Yeah. God damn it.
I never used to be.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the reasons we gravitated to each other. None of us were reliable.
No, none of us were.
Yeah. We weren't really reliable or relevant, but it brings us to the cultural relevance of the two superheroes that we are going to discuss. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think Batman is a hero or an anti-hero?
It depends on how you look at it. Depends on what one you're looking at, because there's different types of Batman. There's the films ones, there's the comics ones, there's the animated series one.
Yeah, and there's different iterations of them as well. Well, if you get the films alone,
like, with the films, I'd say no. With the comics, depending on which person it is, because it's not always Bruce Wayne, depending on who it is, then I would say yes. Because when he started, he was definitely an anti-hero because the cops were looking for him as well.
Yeah.
So going by that, he is. In the animated series, at the start he is, then in the middle he's not, and then at the end he is, and he goes through phases.
Yeah, just like we all do in life, we all go through phases.
Aye.
Whereas Deadpool is straight up in the anti-hero territory.
He is.
Definitely. Well, borderlining on villain a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Yeah,
probably more than a couple.
Yeah, we tried to kill the whole Marvel universe
twice.
Yeah, so you've got to have some props there for that one, at least for the attempt.
Aye.
And I mean, what would you say has been Deadpool's cultural impact?
Probably the first film, because after
which first film? What is solo film or
his solo film? His solo film.
Because technically, Origins did have he had a kind of cultural impact with that, because so many people freaked out about what the iteration, and other people didn't know what the iteration was meant to be. And then they got an education on that, realized how badly they'd shat the bed. And then it led to obviously the petition and getting them to the one we know and love.
I mean, they done the test footage that
that
3
I don't know.
I
don't know how that got out.
I don't know. I didn't press the button. I didn't leak that. But it's like
it may have rhymed with Schmein Schmenels.
Aye. Within an hour of that being out, Fox had to greenlight the film.
Yeah.
So that just shows that 4-minute clip made them have to decide, we need to make this film. We're going to make billions from it.
That's the thing, though. They were still on the fence about it. The test
for so long.
Because I remember the test footage got leaked and the numbers were through the roof. That was a true iteration of a viral video. When viral videos were starting to come into prominence. But Fox were still hesitant. They were like, we don't know if an R-rated superhero movie will work. And we're like, was Blade a joke to you?
I know.
Blade was an R-rated movie and it was unbelievable. Don't get me wrong, some of the effects are a bit spotty by today's standards, but at the time we thought they were good. Well, it grossed in so much money. If you had the right actor with the right charisma, you were ready to roll. Well, and we had that with Ryan Reynolds, but because he bombed so badly in Origins, there was question marks about him. Well, and then because it bombed in a financial sense, there was questions about how it was going to make money. Well, and then it's the whole fear of if we can't tap into the 12A market or for international audience, the PG-13 market, how are we going to be able to make our money? So it was ages and ages and ages, and it actually took another campaign from that test footage to go, give us this, we want this, and they were like, okay, but you're not getting the budget, and you're not getting this big budget, and you're not getting this, you're not getting that. And they went, okay, that's cool. Well, we'll just do it, and it didn't need it because by Christ, it was amazing. I went to see it 3 times in the cinema.
I've seen it twice.
It's like I rarely go back to see something once. I go once and then I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. I've had my singular experience. All cool. This one, I went twice and I'm like, right, I've done it twice. Cool. And one of my mates, I haven't seen Deadpool yet. And I'm like,
let's go.
I'm there. It's one of the rare films. The only other film that I've ever broke that rule for, going to see it up 3 times, was Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So that is the praise that can be bestowed upon that film in superhero genre.
Aye.
Whereas with Batman, and I know I'm meant to be defending him, and he's had cultural error. He's been around for 70 odd years. It's like he's aged phenomenally. As the Lego Batman movie said, I still think that's a brilliant Lego Batman movie. Actually, I think that's a brilliant interpretation.
It is
such a brilliant interpretation of the character as well. It actually has surprisingly more heart than I expected. Don't get me wrong, the resolution was a bit of a MacGuffin. I was like, really? This is how they're going to resolve it? Honestly. But it was Lego, so what did you expect?
It's Lego, they can get away with it.
Yeah. But I think because everything else was done so superbly with it, that it was like, okay, we can give it a pass. because like even like Zach Galifianakis and Will Arnett as Joker and Batman, respectively.
I know.
Those are names that you realistically would not put in any type of like superhero franchise. Maybe Galifianakis, what just as maybe like, you know, remember like Deadpool 2, like the guy just showed up for the ad.
Aye, that's the sort of person that. Aye, he shows up. So that, yeah. What powers do you have? I'll get diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in.
You're in. That was it. Like, so those are the type of names that you'd be like, okay, there's no chance that they're good. That's the type of role you would expect for guys like them. But they knocked it out the park. Will Arnett's voice acting for Batman was near Kevin Conroy, in my opinion, and that's very high praise.
It's because he'd actually went to Kevin Conroy and said, all right, I'm going to be doing Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough, it's Lego Batman, and it's a lot more comedic, but
yeah, but it's like, but you still want to respect the source material. What and who
he
better?
Did, so he went to him.
Which also gives you another big actual cultural reference for the Batman side. The animated series of the 90s showed you what comic animation, what shows could do. It was absolutely amazing, the work that they were able to do on that, and how they were able to keep it gritty, yes, and have the pathos and all the drama with it. Like they brought in Harley Quinn, they brought in Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze was really played as a joke in the Adam West series, like everything else was. But they gave him, but they gave him more of a relevance in it, or just sort of to make him one of the most complicated villains, and one of the best of the Rogues Gallery.
Aye, and because of the way he was portrayed in that cartoon, that's the way that they've portrayed him in the Batman games as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually a character. He's not just Arnold Schwarzenegger with a freeze ray.
Yeah, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. I still think I know Batman and Robin, by the definition of a Batman movie, sucks. But by the definition of it, the ones that we've had, like the Nolan verse and the Tim Burton before that, didn't work. But if you take it away and just put it into something that you're like, right, lower your expectations, treat it as a comedy, you kind of know you're all right. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, ironically, is the saving grace of it. He knew what he knew what he was getting into. He knew what he signed up for, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna have fun with this. And he did.
Because up until then, everything he had done was mostly the action films.
Yeah, it was
Terminator. He had a couple of
Conan.
comedy ones.
Yeah,
he had a couple of comedy ones, and then he done this. He's like, I'm just going to ham the hell out of this. Shatner had nothing on him.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those that people in the action movies questioned his acting ability. For a lot of things. Because they just thought he's just the big muscle guy who's going to be like, "Come with me if you want to live." Just a very monotone kind of voice. And people don't realize how hard it is to do comedy. In a hammy situation, but still be able to get those type of either the face palm moments or the bust a gut laughing moments, and he really delivered on them both. I was so surprised, and it's why I think George Clooney, understandably, the wrong Batman.
It was
just no, it didn't work. He didn't have even a remote trace of a split between Bruce Wayne and Batman. If that Bruce Wayne went out to do crime fighting, you would know instantly when he spoke to you. Bruce?
Aye.
That you? That's you, Bruce. Straight away, there would be no hint of a secret identity at all.
Even with Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer,
he separated the characters.
Yeah,
he separated them, and you could tell.
Well, there was a difference, and I was like, I'm quite impressed. And some of the deleted scenes I saw from Batman Forever, there was bits where they tried to take it in a darker tone. And I think
they tried to go down the Tim Burton route. Aye.
Yeah. There was a couple of bits. There was this whole kind of meta thing where Batman had lost his memory of being Batman. He could remember being Bruce Wayne, but couldn't remember being Batman. And then it was this whole kind of meta dream sequence where he's like basically standing in it with a big giant fuck off sized bat right in front of him, like trying to like scare the crap out of him. And I was like, what, for the film that came out, I can understand why it was cut, but it would have been an interesting take. It'd be an interesting take to see like the darker Schumacher cut of that. Because there was even a scene with Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face, and he was really menacing in it, like a cut scene. Like really menacing, really scary. And I was thought that could have been interesting, but because he played it straight into the gym, he was playing off of Jim Carrey. Well, you don't play off against Jim Carrey. You just be you and let Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey. It would have been fine.
So that's what everybody has said about Jim Carrey. So he's the funny one.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you're doing in a film with Jim Carrey, you play it serious.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But even if Jim Carrey's playing it serious, you play it even more serious. Even if he's like playing it like his dog's died, you play it like his dog died of cancer while being raped by villains and villainous gang leaders. You play it that you go dark if he's going dark. You just keep going with that because he'll always be the funny one. Like he's got to be and I think for cultural relevance, but in the case of between Batman and Deadpool, I personally would say that Batman has the edge for longevity's purposes. Well, I think because
probably
he said more incarnations, he said more interpretations, he said lots of different terms of the source material. I mean, we could sum it up to the questions where I said to you, like, is he an anti-hero or not? And you went, well, it varies depending on what media, what actor, how they interpret it. Deadpool, we were just like straight up anti-villain. Anti-hero, but all going on to villain kind of deal. And he said, that kind of thing where it's just been like, right, he's just straight, he's there, that's it, we're all cool. But like you said, only really came to prominence with a lot of audiences after the dumpster fire of X-Men Origins Wolverine. And sadly, that's not the best to go on, especially.
It's not the best start, no.
No, definitely not. So I would say for round one, Batman has won. So we shaded it for round one. Now we go into round two, and that is about the abilities. We're going to be covering both the physical abilities and the mental abilities. But for Batman, he has no physicality really when you think about it.
He's really just trained himself to peak physical condition.
Yeah, if you looked at it in the case of, like, for example, the Dark Knight trilogy, in the third film, they basically tell him, look, your body is a complete and utter shambles. It's wrecked. It's destroyed. But he'd had less than like 18 months being the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just like, right, like you're physically shot. Well, I'm like, well, in fairness, he is human. Like he has been in as different iterations in various media. I mean, is there one iteration where it was a vampire? I think
there was, yeah.
Yeah, there was a vampire Batman. Still would have done better than Jared Leto's Morbius.
I've still not seen that.
Yeah, just I'm avoiding it. That's the reason I am not confident about the multiverse. Well, it's one of the reasons I'm like, I'm not confident about the multiverse. If you want to see what my video of why I don't trust the multiverse is like, you can follow it when I put it up. But just gotta keep plugging the episodes going ahead, man.
Go on, Ed. Get as many plugs in as we can.
We've got to, because I am going to be doing an episode about that, like why I think, why I'm kind of going, I'm out multiverse style. Because I've never been a fan of multiverse arcs, but it'll be something that I'll be covering in like two separate videos. One where I'm not trusting it with the MCU, and one where where I've never really been a fan of multiverse. I'm a fan of alternate realities, but multiverse and crossovers and all that stuff, it rots my brain.
See, the whole multiverse thing, I actually got on with that quite well because of the Spider-Man series.
Yeah.
For the 90s.
Yeah, definitely. But
it was because of that.
I think in a way, like if you do it but you don't oversaturate it.
Aye.
And you don't overcomplicate things and make it confusing, and then you have to try and sort things out later and try and essentially like reset a timeline of a multiverse. But the Arrowverse is the prime example of that. For DC, that they started going down that route. It seemed to be like they were juggling it, and then because some shows were on different networks, and then you had to sort that out. So they were like, "Oh, that's just a different Earth." And then when they get the rights to that, and then they've got to bring it in, and then they've got to sort. I'm like, my head is bursting here, man. It's bursting. It's like I can. So it was just like, you know what, like I'm bailing. Well, I do love alternate character takes and alternate realities and stuff. I mean, I'm a massive Star Trek fan. The parallel universe episodes were always brilliant, but they were never like intertwining, interconnected worlds where you were going in and out all the time. It was, you had these episodes here, these episodes there, and they were always the same thing. It was always a world where the Federation are douche nozzles.
Aye.
And that was it. It was like, this is the one timeline where they're douche nozzles, and this is the timeline you will see, and we'll expand on that douche nozzle timeline. So I always liked that. But the one point I will take for while we're talking about multiverse, to bring it back to Batman, Bat Dad, essentially, Thomas Wayne, the Flashpoint Batman, I would say that he would be more of a physical match, or like a physical and mental match for someone like Deadpool than Bruce Wayne.
He would be, because of the mental scarring.
Yes, because Thomas don't give no fucks.
No.
That ironically could be plugged for my Ginger Engine series. Thomas and Tank Kitchen. Thomas don't give no fucks.
He doesn't either.
Oh, he's a prick, man. He's an absolute prick. Well, I called him a ball bag and got 3 death threats. Well, so of course, for one of my next videos on the Ginger Engine, I'm doubling down, explaining why I call them a ball bag, to open up even more death threats. Let's see how many I get this time.
See if we make it to 10.
I'm aiming for double digits. I'm aiming to at least get cancelled twice with the Ginger Engine alone. I've had about 7 from that Mental Ginger show, and I'm still going. I'm like a ginger cockroach. I'm a ginger cockroach. You can't kill me. And speaking of can I kill, Deadpool has I think a full-on advantage against Batman here. He's virtually indestructible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's had the same kind of thing where, like the like Wolverine was once able to regenerate himself from a single drop of blood.
Yeah. That's right.
I think if you found like the tiniest bit of dandruff like out there somewhere, Deadpool would be able to just spring back from that.
It could, because Deadpool's healing factor is actually 14 times more than Wolverine's at peak.
See, I knew it was more than Wolverine. I didn't know how much. 14 times.
Roughly about 14 times more.
Wow. And he is and he's unbelievably skilled with the katanas as well.
Aye.
He's called the Merc with a mouth for a reason. The keyword being Merc. He was a mercenary. Yeah. He was a Deathstroke ripoff.
He was. That's why he's called Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool's called Slade. So we'll just call him Wade then.
Yeah. And the irony is that DC have made a character in the Deadpool mold now, a new character in Deadpool mode, that they're ripping off, and we're like, we ripped you off first.
Yeah.
Well, so it's so funny how the worm has turned on that one.
I know.
But yeah, yes, Deadpool is virtually indestructible. Multiverse wise, he could cross all them with ease. Any multiverse, like Marvel, DC, he could go and see fucking Spawn, and he would probably give him a run for his money.
He probably could, aye. Although Spawn would end up just cutting his head off constantly just because he would be so annoyed.
Yeah, it would be like
he couldn't kill him.
It'd be like a better version of the Doctor Strange Dormammu scene.
Aye.
Or come to bargain, stab. Well, it'd just be like that, but it would never stop because Spawn would just be like, I could do this all day. And Well, Wade Wilson would be like, so can I. Well, they would that would be the Ouroboros, like the never ending, the snake eating its own tail, no beginning, no end. That's the way that would turn out. Well, but he could
with billions of Deadpool heads rolling around laughing.
Yeah, if that didn't drive you mad, I don't know what would. Well, and that's something else that what a major power that that no one has aside from Deadpool, breaking the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his reality. He knows what he's in. He can communicate with everybody, anybody, at all.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if, like, we went up to a guy, what in our reality now, and a guy was like talking to someone. He's like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them." And you're like, "Who?" They're the people that are watching this. Watching what? Oh, you do realize it's a Truman Show kind of deal, right? It'd be like mind blowing. It'd be like, what is the Matrix again? You remember when the Matrix first came out and people started losing their shit because they thought it made them question their realities, and people started going nuts and getting connected to like psych wards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Imagine that was as in a comic book says, but Deadpool's just hopping between, going la 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 la. Give me my unicorn and my taco and my burritos and chimichangas. Why not? What? So that's something like he's so insane that he's actually sane.
Aye. That's what it is. Though. He's not actually insane.
Yeah, definitely.
He's so in tune with everything that he's decided. Wait a minute, this isn't real. Yeah. So I can do what I want because it's not real.
Yeah, because he's like, it's not real, and I'm indestructible. Let's have fun with this.
Aye.
What? And it also shows you how the creators of Deadpool, like those writers and stuff, they must have had a field day coming up with this idea. When they went, right, he's going to break the fourth wall, and someone just went, you can do anything regardless of consequences. They'd be like, excuse me for a second. We've struck a gold mine here, guys. We didn't even know it.
Yeah, because it was the writers, they went to Stan Lee and they're like, look, we want him to break the fourth wall constantly. We want him to know that he is a comic book character. And that he will randomly start talking to people that aren't there.
Yeah.
And the people around him will say, who are you talking to? He's like, oh, it's okay. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. And Stanley's like, that's a great idea. Yeah. Do it. Run with it.
Yeah.
And 30 years later, still going.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just shows you, like, well, Batman has had the longevity that we were talking about with the cultural significance. With the time that Deadpool has had, what an impact he's made on media. With how unique the premise of the character was. Like in the design of him may not have been as unique because he had, like, you know, he was a Deathstroke ripoff. Like, he had Wolverine's healing powers. He had Spider-Man's kind of senses and eyes and all that kind of stuff. I've seen all this. Like, it was you ever seen Epic Rap Battles of History on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
You seen the one? You seen the one with Deadpool v Boba Fett?
No, I've not seen that one.
Check that one out, and it's brilliant. It's one of the lines from Boba is, "You should have ditched the prick from Van Wilder." And I was like, "Oh, if only you knew going forward how much of a mistake that line was in that rap." But how much of a mistake? I mean, I had a hard on for Ryan Reynolds even before he was Deadpool. But back when he was two guys doing this sitcom with two guys and a girl, I had a hard on for him. Had a hard on for him.
I love that show.
But he's just have followed his career ever since. He just is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so Deadpool has made the cultural impact, and he's just if it was between Batman and Deadpool in a straight fight, Deadpool wouldn't even need to use his powers. Like, say they stripped everything away, and it was original Wade Wilson mercenary against, like, straight up fight Batman, no gadgets, no suit. And I'm talking he's Ra's al Ghul trained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well. I'm talking Ra's al Ghul trained, League of Assassins or League of Shadows, as Woman Dark Knight called it for some reason. Those two in a straight up bout, Wade Wilson would kick his ass.
Totally.
100% kick his ass. And
because
I'm meant to be defending Batman here, but Batman relies a lot more on his mental strength and on his like his detective skills and how he incorporates technology and how he incorporates his world around him, to be the best version of himself that he is. Whereas Wade,
and the thing about Batman is, as well, he always counts on the bad guy making a mistake, or whoever it is he's up against making a mistake. There's always one wee mistake, and he'll pick up on that because of his mental conditioning. He will pick up on it, and that's their downfall. But with Deadpool, even if he's just Wade, there's no mistakes because he's trained. He knows what to do and when to do it. He knows that if somebody's coming at him with a blade, he knows when to move to strike so that he doesn't get stabbed.
Yeah, and even when he is Deadpool, he could go the total opposite route. Like what, Batman trains on one mistake. Deadpool would know that and make so many mistakes that it would overload his brain. He'd be like, which mistake do I catch first? Because he'd be like, look, what can you realistically do to me in Deadpool form? Because I can constantly come back and I can constantly kick your ass. I am basically like kick-ass Dracula.
Pretty much.
It's like give it your best shot. I will always come back until I keep winning. And that would drive Bruce. He would drive Bruce so nuts that he would end up breaking down. I think Bruce would end up becoming the Joker.
Probably.
If he was up against that type of Deadpool, he would just go nuts. And that's why I say, if it was Thomas Wayne against Wade Wilson, I think Thomas Wayne would have more of a chance. Bruce still has his codes. He still has his he's no killing. In more recent iterations is more of his no killing. There has been ones where he straight up doesn't give a fuck. Like Zack Snyder's Batfleck. It was just straight up decimating dudes left, right, and center. He just did not give a shit. That's why I was waiting for the rugby pulled under, and it was actually Thomas Wayne for him, because I was like, this is too much like Flashpoint Thomas Wayne for me. How he was interpreting it.
It
was. Very much so like that.
But he sort of went down the Dark Knight Rises type.
Yeah.
Because Ben Affleck's obviously a big fan of Batman and read those comics. Yeah. I'm going to play it like that, where I will just kill everybody. I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, definitely.
I've always been the bad guy.
Whereas with Thomas's side, because he's already experienced the greatest loss that you could experience, losing a child, and as dads, if we experience something like that, we know we would break.
Oh, aye.
Totally. So he's just like, look, I will straight up. So if it was just straight Wade Wilson who was normal, I think Thomas Wayne would. I think he would still maybe lose, but it would be a lot closer.
It would be a closer fight.
Yeah, it'd be a closer fight because he'd just be like, I don't give a fuck about whether you live or die. He would end up going full Charles Bronson brawler kind of style. I think he would pull every dirty tactic under the sun. Just in a straight fight. Whereas Bruce would be more leaning into his League of Shadows kind of trading. Let's try and use the darkness to fight back, and where's Wade would just be like, gone.
Yeah.
Just straight away. So I think it's a resounding victory in the second round for Deadpool. I think so. I know it's everybody is gonna be like, look, it's two Deadpool fanboys trying to up against the Dark Knight. It ain't gonna happen. I am trying, guys. I am trying, but I somehow managed to win the first round.
You did.
I did not think I would win. I somehow pulled it out the bag. So that was a surprise to me, as well as a surprise to Kev. I'm sure. And we've got it one each, and also sets it up for the final round, which is all about the world they live in. When we took our little break, I managed to think of a proper constructive way to say it, rather than be like, it's like with Batman's with the Justice League. Well, it's like it was the world that they live in. Who are their allies? Who are their significant enemies? What parts do they play in their lives? How they conduct themselves in their respective worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So the example that I would give for mine is that Batman is as good working on his own as he is working. Actually, wait. I'm actually going to correct myself here. I was going to say that. I was going to say that he works as well on his own as he does with the Justice League, but there's been several times when he's been with the Justice League that he's done stuff the Justice League have not agreed with. And there's also been times that the Justice League have done stuff that he has not been a fan of. At the same kind of thing. I mean, for example, he had maps of all of their strengths and weaknesses and what to do to take them out, like essentially their kill codes.
Yep.
When that got activated, and they were like, "What?" And they're like, "The Justice League's under attack by who? By me." They're like, "Wait." They're like, "What?" What? And they all were like, "You fucker, you've studied us." And he's like, "Of course. Didn't you guys study me?" I'm like, "No, but we trust you." And he's like, "Well, that's a fucking stupid mistake." And it's just like at the end, they're like, I also always remember the Superman line of, "You created all these plans to deal with us, but not how to deal with yourself." And he said, "I do have a plan. It's called the Justice League." And off he went.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, that is not only just a sick burn, but a great example and one line example into Batman's psyche. He is so prepared for all the shit to crumble around him that he is also prepared for when he crumbles himself."
Yeah.
Straight away. And for someone who has all of these trust issues, is a bit doesn't want to. He wants to protect the people closest to him. I think he has an unrealistically large family of Bat Army people.
He surprisingly has a lot of them.
Because if we count it, he's had Dick Grayson, he's had Jason Todd, he's had Damian Wayne, his own son, who is trained in the League of Shadows. He's got
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake. You've got we got Barbara Gordon.
Yep. Kate Kane.
Mm-hmm. Kate Kane as well. Jim Gordon, in a sense, is part of that family. Even Alfred has had to suit up on occasion for him. And basically wear
that's true.
Just essentially wear bat metal.
Yeah. The thing is though with Alfred, if he had to just become Batman, then nobody would have a hassle because he will actually just kill them. It's like, here's the Joker again, right? Bang, dead. There we go. Yeah. Problem solved.
He would just be like, "Look, bang, done. What's next?" That's why I would love to see an alternative reality where, Bruce's parents still die, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is me just spitballing off the top of my head. Because I've actually came up with a whole series of alternative timeline ideas of what happens if it was Barry Allen that died and it was his dad that became the Flash. What would happen if Hal Jordan's dad's plane crashed into Hal Jordan and his dad became the Green Lantern? The main one that I've done a full kind of arc for. Is what if Jor-El, Kal-El's dad, was the one that made it off of Krypton alive, and went to Earth. So I was building up this whole Justice Dads, as I was calling it in my head, the Justice Dads, and having all this kind of stuff with it because I love alternative reality stuff.
Yeah.
Hence what I said earlier on. So I would love to see one of what if Bruce Wayne's parents died, but instead of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, Alfred got out of his retirement and got into the game.
That would be quite good.
It'd be interesting to see how he would go into the Bat persona of the Bat's frightened and all that kind of stuff. It could be maybe Bruce Wayne has this fallen the thing with it. You know the thing when Batman Forever when he fell into the pit and destroyed all the bats and that. Well, it could be a case of it. Maybe it was that, and Alfred saved him, but he got attacked by the bats, and that gave him a trauma. Well,
Yeah.
And it could have been something like that. Well, again, me spitballing off the top of my head, but I love this type of stuff. So I would love to see like an Alfred Pennyworth version of Batman.
Mm-hmm. That would be quite good.
Anybody around DC that thinks it's a good idea, hit me up. So it covers like the fact that like he has a larger Bat family. Well, and the Lego movie surprisingly also like hinted on that as like the one thing that he always wanted was to be part of a family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he was like, no, it's my greatest fear is snake clowns. Well, which was always brilliant. And then you got to see Alfred suit up in the 60s outfit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Alfred, what are you doing? I missed the 60s. Well, which was crazy. So you had that. What for his type of family? Deadpool. What he has so many begrudging allegiances.
He does.
Well, I mean, he's got Wolverine, he's got Spider-Man, he's got Daredevil, he's got Cable. Well,
he's got Hawkeye.
He's got Hawkeye. Well, he's got I mean, there's even versions of Deadpool where he's a panda.
There is, yeah.
There's the infamous panda pool.
Yep.
Well, it's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. Like two of my favorite things, Deadpool and pandas. Coming into one pure sense of motion. It's brilliant. But he's one of those ones that, like I said, there's the X-Men, there's X-Force, all that kind of stuff. But as we pointed out earlier on, he could easily just decide, I'm going to wipe you fuckers out.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and do it.
He could.
And
nobody could stop him.
Hmm.
But with Batman, what happens if you go off the rails? Well, the Justice League. Whereas if Deadpool goes off the rails, well, who's going to stop him? Nobody.
Yeah.
He's destroyed the universe twice.
Yep.
Because he could. So.
Because he could, and he did.
Yep.
Well, but was there a way back for the first time for the universe? Like, like he failed to destroy it. Did he just be like, nah, I'm bored, and go back and just fix it all? Or did the writers just go, that was the end game plan? That was it?
That was the end. He killed the writers.
I thought he did, but I couldn't remember if there was like a bit after it. Kind of a like, you're welcome, Canada.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read them.
Yeah, same, but it was just so. I loved just how it was so many. It was like, I've got to make sure I kill everybody, even the guys who could potentially write these guys back into existence. Bang.
Yep.
And that was it. It was so good. And it just proves like, when it comes to the allegiances with Deadpool, I think the only allegiance he could really ever have is with himself. Because who realistically would you say would be mentally and physically strong enough to stay with him? Mentally, no one. Like physically, again, like he's wiped out the universe. Potential, no one really. If Deadpool went right off the rails, like I said, Batman has a family and contingency plans that could bring him back should he go to the brink. Like Deadpool doesn't have that. Like he doesn't have. So in terms of the world that they live in, Batman does have a world that can bring him back or take him out if required. Deadpool doesn't have that because he could just go, I know what to do. Why don't I just kill the writers first, then you'll all just drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very interesting one. What do you think? Tell me your thoughts on the Bat first.
Well, in one of the cartoons, they're flying somewhere, and they're in Batman's plane, and he's flying, and you've got Green Lantern, who can fly. You get Superman, who can fly. You've got Wonder Woman, who can fly or has her own jet.
Their own invisible plane.
Yep, you've got the Flash, who can run there in half a second. And yet he said, we're going here. It's going to take 2 hours. They could all be there instantly. But no, they get on his plane.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? What is the point in that?
Yep.
They're there.
It's like,
but no, he's there. He's done it. Right, let's go. Right,
yeah.
we'll just sit here for 2 hours.
Yep. It's something that that really drove home with me, like in the Arrowverse. You know, like one of the crossovers, and like the Flash was there, like within an instant. Supergirl was there, like within an instant. Well, and then they're waiting. And you just see Oliver turning up on his motorcycle. Well, and he gets off. He went, guys, let me clarify something. Super speed.
Don't have super speed.
I don't have it. He's like, I don't have it. Well, and I thought, see, that's where you know where Batman has that kind of ultimate respect.
Yeah.
But that they will be like, okay, we could all get there in an instant. He can, but you know what? We could go with having a wee seat for a couple hours. All I can say is he must have like amazing like flight attendant service or something that they were just all like, okay, we're just gonna chill. Like Lex Luthor could be destroying the world right now. But you've got an indoor McDonald's on your plane. I could go a double quarter pounder with cheese for this next fight.
Oh, they've got Alfred as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that comic where that Superman shows up in the Batcave, and then the next scene he's got a cup of tea in his hand, and then
yes.
he's looking at it, like, how did I get this? And then Batman just says, "Yeah, that's Alfred. That's his superpower."
Yeah.
Because it just randomly has a cup of tea. It's like, is that okay?
I know all those years of being like in the war and like reconnaissance and all that all the super skill stuff, so it could be like a super cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
So fast and so efficient that not even Superman noticed it. That's why I think like the ultimate like kicker, like in Batman, where I knew Batman Forever was starting to go off the rails a little, was to take a sandwich with you, sir. I'll get drive-through.
Yeah.
Great line, but come on, man, it's Alfred.
I know.
He would have made like deluxe deli sandwich shit right there. That would have been brilliant to eat.
I know.
Anybody would be lucky to have Alfred as their butler / mercenary.
Aye.
I would have been a-okay with that. But in terms of like for Deadpool, I think what would you say would be the kind of argument for what his world and that he lives in?
Just because of who he is. The good guys need to keep him on side so that he doesn't go off the rails. Because if he does, then, they can't do anything about it. He's killed them all before.
He can do
he
it
stopped
again.
Iron Man. He stopped Iron Man with a pencil in one of the comics. And it's like,
That's
supposed to be one of the most intelligent people, and he gets stopped by a pencil. So it just shows that he's not the most intelligent. He's up there, but he can get stopped by a pencil.
Yeah, it's just like it's one of those ones that like I think like kind of the Wade Wilson kind of intellect is where Jim Carrey is. He's got that kind of meta like brain where he's on like a different plane from the rest of us. Whether it's he's had too much drugs, whether he
or not enough.
or not enough drugs, or like he's just totally like in some sort of like zone that we can't achieve. But Jim Carrey is that kind of weird, like wow, you say things and we're like, fucking hell, man. It also helps that when he grows out his beard, he looks like a fucking like monk or a guru.
He does.
As well. But I think Wade Wilson has got that type of like Jim Carrey-esque style where he's just, because he is meta and he knows he's a cartoon character, and he's broken the fourth wall. So he's broken into that plane of consciousness that a lot of the intellectuals haven't. So it could be a sense that like they're all book smart, but he's got a bit of the book and street in there.
Another thing about Deadpool is Ghost Rider done his penance stare on him and turned back to Johnny.
Wow.
Because Deadpool doesn't see himself as doing anything wrong, so he has nothing. So the penance there will not work on him because he doesn't see him doing to himself anything bad because it doesn't matter. He's not real. So anything he does is cancelled out by the fact that he's not real.
Wow. That's brilliant.
And the only other person that the penance there didn't work on was the Punisher because he sees everything he's doing is right.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So, that's actually like thrown everything really into proportion now with the kind of the worlds that they live in. What you have very subtly kind of kicked one of my points into orbit. Whereas I'm saying, like, Batman's got all the contingency plans from everybody that loves him should they go off the deep end. Deadpool literally has something there that he can be like the biggest source of good in the world because he's like, I'm on the higher plane. I could take everything off you guys. I am essentially your MacGuffin.
Yep.
What you bring if there's a situation we can't get out of, bring in Deadpool to go, right, I'm in with a pencil with an eraser on the top of it. I just rub you out. You're welcome, guys. Off he goes.
Yep. So here comes Kang the Conqueror. He's going to time travel. So it doesn't matter. I'll be back in the past anyway, so I'll just kill him.
Yeah.
And then this will never have happened. Don't worry about it.
Yep. Well, what the Deadpool 2, one of the Deadpool 2 scenes where he's back
when he goes back.
Baby Hitler.
It's just a baby. Come on. We can do it.
It's like maximum effort. Well, and it was one of those ones I was like, holy hell, but you could so see him doing it because he's Deadpool. It's what he does. And he does it well, which is also very frightening.
It does. And the fact that they had to make reference to Deadpool doing that in Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
With Don Cheadle saying, why don't we just go back in time and...
Yeah.
Is that they've saw him do that. It's like, right, we need to make reference to that.
Yeah. Well, and they're like, it's sick. It's Thanos.
It's still a baby.
Yeah. I mean, see if all the deals and mergers and stuff had went through by that point in time. But that would have been the perfect time for like just one wee kind of cameo where he just just turns up and goes, by the way, if you need me to do that, I've got experience in that area. And off he goes.
Yep.
And they're just like, who the hell was that guy? I don't know. And that would have been it. Something so simple to just get him into the MCU.
I know.
Right. So we've both made very good arguments for this case. I'm really struggling to think how we come to a final resolution with this. But I'll be honest. I thought I was doing well with Batman until you brought up.
You were.
Until you fucking brought up Ghost Rider. But that was like the pair of ace cards that you use the card game.
It is.
Like, damn it! It's like I was playing from the angle of but he's got all this family around him that'll be there to knock him off his course, and then you're like, yeah, but if he takes the pen off Ghost Rider, he can literally absorb all the evil in the world. But Deadpool could essentially create world peace. By doing something like that, and you're like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
You totally just went, right, I'm going to, you top trumped me.
I did.
You totally top trumped me. That's what, I don't think you've top trumped me enough to win it. I think that you've hit it to
close.
You've put it in level playing field. Because that's what I always like about these type of, even when I watched the movie fights when I was younger, the guy would be like winning clear with an argument, and someone would just throw out a piece of trivia that they hadn't considered and just went, but, and they couldn't find the argument back from that. You Nicolas Caged me.
I did.
With Ghost Rider, you Nick Caged me.
Nick Caged you.
And I love Nick Cage as well.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't love Nick Cage? Honestly. We are in a Cage-a-sance. But we had the Keanu-sance with John Wick, and now we've got the Cage-a-sance going. So I need to think about how we are going to solve this, because I cannot call this.
It's a tough one. It's tough.
It is a tough one. I could so cop out and be like, right, let's put this to a vote. When this episode goes out. Because I'll be doing, obviously, I'll have the Super Gins group set up by then. Get the video out and go, right, guys. Right, we'll put the poll up. Who do you think won based on the arguments? And see what they come up with. But at the same time,
that'd be quite good, because right now we're like, we both made good arguments, but who comes out at top?
Yeah, we're both that kind of. I think one of us was like a proper alpha male. I mean, you're more alpha than me, but like, see if someone was like this. No, I am right. I will always be right. You're not. You're wrong. Deal with it. Well, they could probably just beat down into submission and be like, okay, fair enough. If it gets you off the call, you're right. But in my head, I'll be like, but we're relatively like I said, you're more alpha than me, but we're in the kind of beta-ish range where we're like, look, we can both see each other's points. We're civilized men, but we've been mellowed out by life and kids. But we can see the point. What cats? Well, cat. We can be like, well, I can see your opinion, man. You can see my opinion. We can agree to disagree. That doesn't work for these type of shows.
It doesn't.
No. Right. So, do you think that's an idea that
I think
we put it to the vote?
Because we've both come up with good ideas, and you know the stuff you were saying about Batman. That's all true.
Yeah. And
the stuff I said there.
Yeah.
The parents there, and just turns them back to Johnny. It's like, who else has done that? Nobody.
Exactly. I mean, I remember watching. Did you ever watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it was on?
I did. I loved that show.
Loved it too. Well, I love the Ghost Rider part of that show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love that entire fourth series. Because it was with the 3 pods.
It was one of the best. It was one of the best.
I think, if not the best. Again, I will be doing a review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if you want to jump into that.
I'll jump in with that.
Yep.
Gives me an excuse to watch them again.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you on that, my friend. Because that was because I have lots of opinions on it. Even though it is, in my case, arguably the best show that they've done. Don't get me wrong, like the Marvel Netflix shows are fantastic. Even Iron Fist, I think, because the whole the multiverse thing that I'm discussing, and I'm not sure about bringing things in. So the Netflix shows, because they are grittier and darker for a more mature audience, them adapting into 12A could really hinder them, because you'd be like, oh, it's not as good as when Netflix had them. But I think Iron Fist has a chance to be better because it fits into their mold, especially with how season 2 came to an end. It's like, so I could see that, and not only integrating well with the MCM, as I'm calling it, in the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, but I think it could thrive in that. Whereas the other ones, I think, would struggle. I think they would need to be, if they were in the universe,
they would need to be toned down. They would need to be toned down a fair bit, especially
Punisher.
Aye.
And the thing that made Punisher so good is the fact it wasn't toned down.
That's what made it. It's what it is. I mean,
So
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Punisher were my 3 favourite out of the Netflix ones.
Yeah. Well, I would have to agree with that order. I would maybe switch Punisher and Jessica Jones around, but I don't want to be called sexist. So, but in fairness, I could also be called racist because Luke Cage wasn't in the top 3. But I did enjoy Luke Cage. I just think they shat the bed.
I was surprised it didn't get a 3rd series, because the way it looked, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
when he's in charge.
Yeah,
this is going to be good.
Yeah,
I hope they do what they've done with the comic, because there was a comic where he decided to take charge, and it took Iron Fist and Daredevil to take him down, but
And
just because of who he is.
And it was why I know people weren't a fan of Finn Jones as Danny Rand, but I
thought he was good.
I think he got better as it went on. I think the turning point for him was the Defenders. Ironically, he had great chemistry with Mike Coulter, plays Luke Cage. He was in the second series of Luke Cage for the that for hire, what kind of arc, was really good in that. Well, and then in the second series, I thought he came into his own a bit, but people had already kind of made their minds up on it, and I was like, well, guys, no, come on, like give him a chance. But the way they ended the second series of Iron Fist, there's a great potential going forward. It also ticks one of Marvel's diversity boxes off because they have a strong Asian woman, not only as the lead, but potentially the new Iron Fist. Spoiler alert. There's a chance for like Danny Rand to be taken back and kind of rebuild the character and redemption kind of thing. And then having that. So there could be an argument for Luke Cage being maybe okay in this universe as well. What if he was tied in with Iron Fist or in that kind of style? He's kind of the borderline where his show could go either way. But I think he would be better on the Netflix side of it than on the Marvel side of it.
Because what they could do is go doing the Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, that was the word that I kept. Yeah, that was the one that I kept forgetting out of the For Hire art, because they did tease it in Luke Cage series too.
They did.
And it was like there's great chemistry there. There's potential. There is a market. And then it was just like oh, everything stopped now. Bye. Yes,
I know.
Just as it was starting to come in its own. So I think for some of the Netflix shows, they would have to they could stay part of Marvel, but they would have to have like their own wee separate R-rated side gig.
Yeah,
so to speak. They still acknowledge that they're part of the universe. Like they could reference the incident and all that stuff. Maybe make the odd cameo in like the movies or whatever, but keep them in their own playing field. But Iron Fist, I see, could fully integrate with that side because of the trials of Shaolin, the Undying, and with the punching a dragon with his fist. That's the train that they are going down right now in the MCU. He could easily, Iron Fist could hop on that train and be improved. Whereas the rest, I think, they're street level Avengers. Let them be street level Avengers. Let them be more gritty.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I know that was an RB tangent, but yeah, it kind of backs up the points of what I think in some cases they could do. These things could do well. In some cases, these things could go quite badly. It's also why I do worry a bit for Deadpool being in the MCU.
It's worrying, but because they've got Ryan Reynolds coming in as a producer and a consultant. Yeah. It might still be okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because he's had that bad experience before. And also the fact that one of the things I loved about Ryan Reynolds was after the first Deadpool film, he just left with the suit, and the guys were like, "You can't take that with you."
Walked off.
Yeah, and he's like,
"Yes, I can."
He's like, "I can." Yeah. And then you realistically think about it, and you're like, right, he didn't always own stunts with the katanas, but he's a skilled swordsman. He was that skilled that he was rumored to remember there was the whole rumor about the Highlander reboot coming back. But that Ryan Reynolds was going to be attached to it because he was a skilled swordsman in real life. And as much as I was like, no, I was also like, good casting choice.
Maybe.
Because I remember watching Two Guys and a Girl, and he was pretending that he was a Scottish guy. He had that over the top kind of Clan MacLeod accent.
Yeah.
And I thought, he could actually pull that off. So, yeah, it was one of those ones where I was kind of like, okay, someone who's skilled with katanas, who's one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, and you're telling him that he can't take a suit even though he was able to get it off the ground basically with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Good luck. And that kind of thought analogy right there also brought me to one of the best moments I ever had watching a Batman film was in The Dark Knight. And the guy goes up to Lucius Fox and is like, yeah, I know that Bruce Wayne's Batman. And I want it, think, and I won't tell anybody. I won't tell the Joker. And Lucius Fox is like, so you think one of the most powerful men in the world with billions and billions of dollars in his free time goes out at night and beats the crap out of criminals just for fun? And your plan is to blackmail this person? Good luck. And I just remember sitting there going, why has no one ever thought of this? Of using that as a defense? And that just showed, and I think if it was anybody else other than Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman saying that line, I don't think it would have had the same resonance.
It wouldn't have.
No. Like, as much as I love Michael Caine as Alfred, I don't think he could have pulled that off with just with the delivery and stuff. Like the line he had where he's like, just don't teach me to the words to apply your own bloody suntan lotion. When he's on the boat with all those models. That's the type of lines that I was like, that's a brilliant line, not only for Alfred, but from Michael Caine as Alfred in particular.
Aye.
So that line could have only been delivered by a Morgan Freeman Lucius Fox.
It worked well just because it was Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, definitely. So
also couldn't have got anybody else.
Yeah. So there we go. I was able to tie it in very loosely with the Deadpool and the Batman reference there for a final round off. So everybody, we have agreed that for the first episode of this untitled Who Wins series, I'm only calling it Who Wins till I think of a better title. We are going to let you, the viewing public, decide. Oh, is that one of your daughters came in? Hey. She can say hello and get some YouTube freedom.
Right, say hello.
Hi. Oh, lovely. I mean, my kids are already in bed. They were in bed at 8:30. Well, thank God. Oh, that's good.
So what they're supposed to be, but she wasn't feeling too good.
Oh, no. She's all right? Is it like a bug or anything?
She's fine.
Yeah, she's all right.
Nah, just feeling miserable because she can't sleep.
I know that feeling. It's like my boy said that they had a bug a D&D bug last week. They couldn't sleep, and then they very kindly gave it to us. And I was like, "Thanks, guys. Thanks." Yep. I was like, I'm very, very rarely sick. And so when I was sick, it just totally wipes me out. So because Alison was like sick, but yeah, she's used to it, whereas I'm used to, like, for lack of a better term, I'm used to the other end. So when it came out that it was vomit, I was like, oh no, I'm done. And I was out of the game for 2 days. Just sleeping, I just couldn't move. But yeah, so I know the pain. But yeah, so we'll leave it to the voting public to decide who won this battle, which actually ties in quite well. Maybe we're talking about epic rap battles of history. And they always have the who won, who's next, you decide. Why don't we try that for this series?
Okay.
Why don't we try it? You, the voting public, can decide not only who wins this round between Deadpool and Batman, you can also decide which superheroes fight next. I think that we've agreed that Powdered Toast Man is going to be one of them for Ren and Stimpy. But I want you, the voting public, to decide who goes up against Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. And when we get a sound winner, we will get a special guest to come on and fight. One of us will fight for Powdered Toast Man. And the other person will be the adjudicator.
Sounds good.
See, I told you, when I don't have a script, things seem to work better for me. My brain is nuts, but it's a good and creative nuts.
Aye.
And by this point, I'll set up the Super Ginge group. Everybody who's not on it, go onto Facebook, search Super Ginge. You'll find it. We'll approve you, and you can come into our superhero madness. What? Get involved with the community because that's what we're trying to build here. What? I'm also trying to make money. Give me money. What? Give Kev money too, because if I get far enough and this becomes a success, I'll be passing it over to him.
I'll take money.
So he'd become the host, and so he would eat the money. But that's the whole point. I'm building my empire, my friend. I'm building Ginger Media. We need to get this done. I'm bringing him in my team. But I wrote my Ginge Vengers, if you will. I think it could work.
The Ginger League.
Yeah, the Ginger League. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what I will call my staff when I get to that point. I will call them the Ginger League. But so we'll round off with that question then, just to round us off. We'll do like a wee random question. If you could be any superhero, either in the Avengers or in the Justice League, who would you be and why?
I'd have to say Wolverine. Even though, Deadpool, totally, but he's never really been in the Avengers.
Mm.
He's been there to help them, but he's never actually been in the Avengers, whereas Wolverine has. So I'd probably pick him.
Good choice, my friend. Well, because I was going in my head and I'm like, has Deadpool been in Avengers? Has he? And then you're like, no, he hasn't. I'm like, fuck.
He's not technically been in. He shows up randomly.
Yeah.
And they won't give him membership because
that's understandable.
He'll hold that against them forever. That you let me in, so this is all on you.
Brilliant. But I think for my case, if I had to pick someone, this will be really left field, but I would want to be Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson's got the kind of the nerdy kind of awe of people that I would have, like the way he is with Captain America. He built up a good relationship with Thor. And then when he carries on with his own Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, he really comes into his own and comes to the forefront. And Nick Fury does say that he is an Avenger. Because he says, that project to bring me back from the dead was for a fallen Avenger, and he goes, exactly. And that never got enough credit from the fan base where they said, like, Nick Fury said, you're an Avenger, so yeah, deal with it, bitches. And then throughout the course of that series, he just becomes more and more badass. Don't get me wrong, I think they should have called it with him at series 5. I think that was the perfect. I think it was the perfect bookend for him. But I do understand for series, not so much for series 6. That was a bit of a cluster F in my brain.
A wee bit.
With Coulson in particular, but it was a cluster F. But the series 7 one, they just went like balls to the wall. Let's just see what happens. It's our last season. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So I can understand it. But Coulson for me, I would say, and because he's been an Avenger, and he would fit my mold, and I would love to have a robotic hand.
Totally.
Definitely. I mean,
who doesn't?
Whoever would say that I don't want a robotic hand would be lying. I just think what he should have had throughout the series should have been the Tesseract gun that they had. He should have just always had that gun in his robotic hand. That was his. Because like Mac, his weapon of choice always wound up being that shotgun axe. So that should have always been Coulson's weapon of choice and always had it. It should have been used at least once a season. Just even if it was just randomly, just like he did at the end of the first season, just shoots him and it's like, I found it.
That's what it does.
That's what it does. I found it. It's all cool. So that was it. And it just turns up randomly, just goes. Yeah, you got to use it once a year, or it'll die off, man. We'd keep it charged. Just something simple as that. Everybody, this has been the first episode of the preliminary Who Wins series. We will think of a better title as this goes on, I am sure. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it. Kev, man, I've had an absolute blast.
Same.
It's been brilliant just to get to talk to someone, A, a good friend, and B, about superhero stuff.
That is good. It's good.
Yeah, especially during this type of time where, like, you know, where COVID has kicked everybody's asses. We've just felt like there hasn't been any real hope. And that's what everybody seems to think. Where they're like, oh, it's comic books are for sad nerds. It's like, no, it's for people who still need a bit of hope in their lives that they're gonna, that they're gonna be okay. Just like how people will listen to like rap music, or they'll do this, or they'll do that, or become podcast hosts. But sometimes we need a bit of the super just to know that we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So until next time, everybody, I've been Andrew Durning. This has been
Kevin Tierney.
And until next time, take care, stay safe. Bye bye.
See you later.